Welcome back to Post Frame 360. I'm your host today, and right here with me is my co-host, Mr. Scott Craig. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. How are you, Josh?
Good. I'm ready to talk all about our episode today, Nail-Lams, and I think you cleverly titled it, Now Let Me Tell You Something.
Now,
Am I
let me
close?
tell you something.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey,
How'd
and
I
just
do
so
on my very first intro? I need to know.
see, I was going to say we keep our promises to our listeners, and we had said last time because Josh was like, I never get to open the show, so you did great, man. Well done.
I
Well
think
done. We're
it
taking off the
actually
training
was
wheels, bro.
me complaining about being your number two all the time.
No,
And I think what you might have said was something like, hey, at least you're a solid number two.
I did not say that. I would never put baby in the corner. No.
Our young listeners may not know what the heck you're referencing right there, but
here's the thing. You speak about young listeners. So my son was he was driving back from down in Southeast Oklahoma, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, did you say you do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I think I want to check it out." I was like, oh, "All right." He's 17, and he goes, "I got like 3-hour drive. I'm gonna check it out." So I asked him. I was like, "Hey, man, did you check out the podcast?" Yeah. That's boring, Dad.
yeah.
I was like, "Well, hey, sorry." So
I can
anyway,
see where we'd be a little boring to a 17-year-old. I know.
Yeah, we are. So, but hey, you know what? Here we go. We're here. Let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So Nail-Lams. Why are we talking about Nail-Lams? You're like, if you're a listener, you're like, this isn't anything new. What's the deal? Well, there is some new stuff here at Burrow's. So what? About four months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, we installed a new Nail-Lam machine. The old machine that we had was, it did a great job, but it was slow and it was inefficient. And I won't go into all the nitty gritty on that. But we made a substantial capital investment, and we brought in a new Nail-Lam machine, which increases capacity, length, just a lot of cool stuff. Josh, I'll let you get into that a little bit. But what we want to be able to do this in this podcast is really outline why we recommend that you use Nail-Lams. It's in some cases it's less expensive than a 5x5 or a 6x6, but there's a lot of other reasons to consider doing this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Nail-Lams.
Yeah, and I think that some of our listeners, have been purchasing Nail-Lams from us for several years. We did have a machine. It was an old clunky machine. Just nailed them together. They would have to try to hammer them straight, and and the machine was real slow and clunky, and we weren't real efficient at it. I can't remember the exact number, Scott, but like one person running that machine could build like
It was like 40
a day, 40 or 50 a day, which is
Mm-hmm.
not efficient whatsoever. Right. So, as we're moving forward, there's a couple things we're looking for here. One is how do we gain efficiencies and build more faster, but then also quality. Our old machine left a lot to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
So this new machine, much better technology, more current. It does mechanically fasten the columns, on the pattern in which we set it, based on engineering and things.
Right.
And we're also in the process now of installing a glue machine. So I don't think today I could say, hey, we're offering a nail glue lamb, but here in the next very near future, we will have that nail glue lamb, which is a big deal. And there's a couple other changes that we really wanted to make with this investment, and one was, if you have ever installed a traditional Burroughs laminated column, super heavy, really heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because of the type of treatment, the type of treated lumber we were using.
Very wet,
very
heavy
wet
wood.
and heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Very heavy. And so one of the moves that we made, and it is following what the trends in the industry are, and that is a kiln dried after treatment, treated boards, that we build our columns out of. So that kiln dried after treatment dries it out, so it's not wet, and it's so much. It's like, I mean, probably not half, but it feels like if you lift it up, it feels like half the weight.
Yeah.
Um, so that's really good.
Yeah. And I want to interrupt you here because I actually want to take a little step back to how did we get
Sure.
here, right? How did we
Mhm.
get to nail lambs, glue lambs, and all of that? So, I'm not a historian, so I'm gonna give you some info. Don't hold me to Scott. Your dates were off, right? It just bear with me. I'm making
Mhm.
a point. When all this got started, I believe it was back in whether World War One, World War Two. A lot of the men had gone off to war. There wasn't a lot of metal available for building structures, and because most of the metal was going to the war effort, right? And telephone poles was what got started. So the whole pole barn, that whole category came about as a result of using telephone poles to be built to build buildings because metal was being used for the war effort. So if any one of you knows, telephone poles, for the most part, they're really straight, really strong, and that's the way it got started. Well, then over time, whenever you start with conservation and managing our forest and lumber and all that other stuff, those tall ponderosa pines or the tall pine trees that a lot of those telephone poles were made out of had been cut down, right? So you end up with new growth forests. Well, a new growth tree is not conducive to a telephone pole. Those things have to be older trees, mature trees, strong because of all the wind and everything else, right? So then we go to 5x5, 6x6 square posts and, a different type of lumber, shorter, not be as tall as telephone poles, right? So there's that market for 5x5s and 6x6. If you go out and you look at a 5x5 or 6x6 post from 1980, cut it in half and look at the growth rings. I mean, tight growth rings, lots of growth rings. Those posts were like dense and hard because they were old, mature trees. Well, now fast forward to the past, what, 15, 20 years, and young growth forests, lots of treatment, right? All that chemical is in there. They're wet. And then depending on which time of year you're in, the sun's cooking them. And you guys have seen it. Cool. I mean, these things are bending, they're twisting, splitting. And so we're at a place now just through, forest management, young growth forests, a 5x5 and a 6x6 are not your best option.
Mm-mm.
They're just not, right? Because they're not as strong, they're not as straight. Uh, you got knots or where the branches were, so that knot sometimes those knots can go all the way through a 6x6. We've had a couple since I've been with Burrows where, take them off the truck, open the bundle, they roll off, and one splits in half because there was a limb that went right through it. So there's a better way to build, and there's a necessity behind this. A nail lamb is stronger, it is straighter, and it gives you as the builder more flexibility for pocketing your trusses if you want to do that. It's just a better way to build. And so, again, if I nerded out a little bit, I hope it helps you understand that this isn't like, oh, this is something fun and new. Yay. No, there's a reason behind this. And the
Mhm.
reasons that we're doing this work in you and your customers' favor. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, it is, and the evolution of the column is we've seen it unfold in our lifetime,
Hmm.
and we may be a little behind the 8 ball in our central Oklahoma area,
Hmm.
with that conversion because, is the further north you go into the Midwest and the East, it's predominantly like, you don't find a post frame building that's not a nail glue lamp or a nail lamp or
And why
glue
is
lamp.
that, right? So let's
Yeah.
why? You know, it's because of snow loads. It's
Mhm.
everything that they have to deal with. So you can go with a 4-ply nail lamp. It gives you more flexibility. You can do a 3-ply 2x8, right? So you have a 6x8 nail lamp.
Mhm.
So that's why up north is because of their snow loads and
Mhm.
and the wind loads. That's why this was, like I said, we're behind the 8 ball. In the South, we don't have those same reasons to use this, but now we do
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
of young growth and twisting and warping and weaknesses of 5x5 and 6x6s.
Yeah, and I really like you had mentioned the pocketing. I really like that option.
Mhm.
We call it like I think a what do we call it? Center loose ply, something
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But, if you're building with burrows and you typically have an 8 or a 10-foot eve post spacing, you can just say, "Hey, leave the center ply loose." And what we do is I think it's 4 feet down from the top.
Yep.
It's a clean straight cut. And so after you get your column set and your truss carriers fastened and all of that stuff, your truss, basically you take that center ply out and that truss sits right down in that pocket. And then whatever the difference is, you cut that 2x6 and put
Mhm.
it back in there. And that is I personally think is a great way to build. Not only that, if you're 8 or 10 foot on center, then your truss literally is also 8 or 10 foot on center. Some people just nail them to the or screw or nail them to the side of the post.
Mhm.
But you could also field cut one ply off the side of the post, even with your top of your truss carriers, and then allow your truss to sit on that one ply that you cut, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I think that provides a lot of good options for a builder.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, again, like you said, it's another option, right? Because if you
Mhm,
think about, I've got a column and I extend my column up past my truss carrier. So my truss is gonna set on top of that truss carrier, and then
mhm,
I'm gonna screw through the side of the truss into the back side of my column, and then I've got my stubbies along the way.
mhm,
So all of that weight of that truss is resting on the truss carriers, and the truss carriers, and this is fine, right? Like, I'm not saying this is a bad way to build, but that truss carrier is screwed in. So your roof and everything else is dependent on your fastener.
mhm,
It's really the fastener holding all that weight. Now, I would be amiss if I didn't mention one of the reasons why we brought in GRK fasteners, right? They have the highest tensile strength, shear strength. So it's a great way to build.
mhm,
But if you pocket or saddle, so 2x6, 2x6, and then that middle one is cut down so that my truss slides in. Well, now my truss is setting on a vertical 2x6. It's
mhm,
setting like this. So now my truss and all of that roof weight is actually bearing down on my floor if I bolt it to a concrete floor, or it's on the base of my column hole.
mhm,
So you're transferring all of the weight to something more stable than a fastener.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's a stronger way to build, but if you're doing it the other way, it's fine, right? It's just thinking about it differently.
Yeah, and I think the structural fastener, in my opinion, is the only way to go. If you look at our Oklahoma engineering, our typicals,
Mhm,
right, that we
mhm,
have that says, hey, if you build your building this way, um, this is technically a pre-engineered building. So, and that set of plans will actually tell you what size truss carrier you should have.
mhm,
It'll
mhm,
tell you how many structural fasteners you should be putting in the joints of the columns.
mhm,
It'll tell you how many fasteners and what type to fasten your truss to the column with. So,
mhm.
that's a good reference point. If you're a client of ours and you're curious, call and ask. We can
Right.
we can talk you through that.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%. So yeah, so we diverted there a little bit, but hopefully it gave you some additional
Mhm,
tools in
mhm,
your tool bag. But coming back to nail lamps, right? So straighter, stronger. And then something you mentioned about was KDAT. And I think we need to talk about that a little bit, kiln dried after treatment, um, because when we transferred to KDAT versus CCA, MCA, which is the wet, you're familiar with it's green, right? That wood looks, the lumber looks green. KDAT doesn't have that kind of look to it, right? Um, KDAT's a little more expensive. And we have to talk about that because you're like, wait a second. So you're telling me that I got to use, or I should be using this four ply, but it's going to cost me more. Is this just you guys trying to make more money? All right. Um, yes and no. We're not making any more money on these than we would on a 6x6 because profitability is the same regardless. But our cost went up but we knew our cost was going to go up to make this to offer a better product. So we should talk about that a little bit, Josh. What how much more are we talking cost wise, and how do we cost justify that? Not only you and I to our listeners, but for our listeners to their customers.
Well, and one of the when we're talking about cost and cost justification, I think it's important to mention that we are very aware of that,
Hmm.
that our clients have an expectation when it comes to price and product, and there are so what we're doing is constantly looking out at the industry saying, hey, we need to remain competitive in our pricing, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
um we may come out with additionally run a special, right? As we start ramping this machine up here, we may come out with a special for our client and just say, hey, we're going to match the price of a standard 6x6, um, because we want you to use these. We want you to try them and understand the benefit of using them.
Hmm.
And that our commitment to you is once you do understand and start using them, that it's going to be competitive throughout the industry. And we have a sister company that all they do is post components, right? All they do is build columns. That's their full-time job. So we have that resource um, to lean on and say, hey, here in the Midwest, here in Oklahoma, Kansas, where should we be? Where should our sales price be
Hmm.
to remain competitive on these columns? So that's the approach we're taking, Scott.
Right.
I'm not getting specific on dollars and cents specifically,
Hmm.
but that is the thought process behind our pricing and where we're going with it.
Right. Well, I'm going to bang the business drum like I often do. You have to decide as a builder, business owner, you got to decide where you want to be in the market. Okay. So if you say, look, I'm going to be the lowest cost builder, I'm going to use the cheapest metal. I'm going to use 5x5s. I ain't using 6x6s. I'm going to use number three 2x4s and number three 2x6s. I'm going to build cheap. That's your decision. Go for it. Right. If your decision is to build cheap, build cheap. If you're the next guy that says, I don't want to build cheap, I'm putting my name on this building. Because here's let's be honest. If you're building cheap, you don't plan on seeing that customer again. You're throwing up buildings and going to the next one. Okay. Let's just be honest with each other here.
Hmm.
If you're in the next group and you're like, well, you know what, I'm not going to build cheap, but I'm not, I don't think I've got the customer base to build high end. So I'm going to use 6x6 treated posts, and I'm going to use, in some areas, I'm going to use number two lumber. Um, I'm not going to use the economy metal. I'm going to use maybe 29 gauge on everything. So you're that next level. I'm going to build at this price. Pick where you want to be, because I can tell you where I was in my own company and where I was in the previous. It's no secret. I worked for more buildings. We knew our lane. We knew where we wanted to be. And if you wanna be a premium builder, you could say, I'm losing deals, but I'm too high. Just too high." Here's 2 things for you. Number 1, um, new language for you. If you make the agreement that your prices are too high, guess what? The person you're talking to believes you're too high because you believe you've made the agreement you're too high. If you make the agreement that Burrow's their prices are too high, you're not gonna buy from us because you've given yourself a reason not to, okay? So rather than saying, "I'm too high," be honest with yourself. If you're price gouging, well, shame on you. But if your price is fair, don't apologize for it. Why would you apologize for that? If you're like, "I pay my people well, I choose the best materials I can, I stand behind my product, and I don't get every deal because maybe my price is too high, but if it's fair, don't apologize for that. It's like blood in the water. If you show up to give a presentation or a proposal and you're hedging your bets or you're afraid of your price, man, it's blood in the water. You've already lost the deal because you're not
Hmm.
projecting confidence in what you offer. So I'll step back from beating on the business drum,
Mhm.
but I see it too much. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I see this way too much with our customers. Is there's so much focus on price and being price competitive. I feel like some of and maybe some of you listening, I think you have forgotten your value you bring to this space, your knowledge, and you've gotten caught up in price wars.
I think one of the thing I keep thinking about as you're talking about this, Scott, is that it's really hard to sell yourself, your quality, your products, your difference to anybody, especially if you're hiding behind a computer and pricing out jobs. If
Right?
you're if you get out, people sell to people.
Yep.
And if you get out and you exude confidence and you talk about quality, and I use nail lambs, everybody else that's coming by here, I know they're using six by
Mhm,
sixes because I compete against them. I
mhm.
can tell you the difference in nail lambs. It's a higher quality product, and but that's I don't know. I think there is a space for the folks that just want to have an economy building
Yep.
and want to just get as many leads off of Facebook as they can get and fire quotes out. And all you
Right.
are, when I receive that quote, all that is a number with a logo at the top of it. It is a number. And dude, I ran a huge sales team, selling to homeowners, what our customers do for 10 years prior to coming to Burrows. And I can tell you one thing that that customers, honestly, they're not asking what type of column you're using.
Mhm.
They're not asking what type of window you're using. They just want a window.
Mhm. Yep.
They may not even specify a size.
Mhm.
They don't care the brand of garage door. They don't care that the truss has a 10-pound bottom load for drywall. All they want is a 30 by 40 building. And
Mhm.
so I think there's a space for the people that want to go out and build a relationship and sell on quality to educate the consumer
Mhm.
more about it. And then they can make a more educated decision as to what they're going to purchase and who they're going to purchase it from. But
Right.
I
Right.
think there are those types of post frame companies out there. And then there's just those who bank on numbers. Like I know that if I bang out 40 quotes this week, that I'm going to sell 2 buildings, and that's their program and that works for them. And, you know, we thank you for being you and we thank you for your orders, but there is another way
Right.
if that's what you choose. And also know that if one of those educated clients does come back to you and says, "Hey, do you offer nail lamps?" Feel free to say no because that's not your program,
Right.
but also know that we're here for you. We can get you a quote on those columns, and you know we want to educate you on that product, and that's why we're doing this, right? So
Right. Right. 100%. And not to just like beat this to death, but I think this is a really, really good riff that we're having right now. Because I think about Burrows, right? Like we get people that complain about our prices. I mean, I don't think a day goes by where someone doesn't complain about our prices. You're too high. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: we are not the cheapest. We're not even going to try to be the cheapest. We have people that say, "Well, I'm not buying my metal from you because you're 30 cents too high. I'm
why
going to buy
would
over
we
here."
bring too much value to be the cheapest, you
Right.
know?
But here's the thing: if I drop my price to try to be competitive, and I start getting your business, well, then what are my competitors going to do? Oh, they're going to drop their prices. So I never get loyalty. Right? Here's the thing: if I drop my prices every time someone says I'm too expensive and they're buying from my competitor, so I drop my price more competitive, I have no loyalty. Right? Here's the thing: I will have no customer loyalty if I'm always playing the pricing game. I just won't. You're going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Now, if I am losing a significant amount of business, then I'm gonna go back and go, "Okay, let me look. What's changed? Has the economy changed? Has what's changed? This past year, we've talked about this. We've talked about this all year. Interest rates and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it was costing us. Did we go back and say, man, like, can we take a profit loss in some areas to maintain business? That's just what you got to do as a business owner, right? Like you do that. But I know my lane. Burroughs knows its lane. Our lane is not to be the cheapest. Our lane is not to be the most expensive. Our lane is we want to try to bring you innovative products that you can choose to offer. Um, we want to be competitive so that you can be competitive. We offer three types of, or mainly two types of metal. One is a little less expensive than the other. We offer different grades of lumber. So we're offering some things for you as the builder business owner to decide, hey, this is what I want to do. But I'm not going to change my prices and lower my prices and
No,
compete on price. I don't want to compete on price, right?
no, and
What
I
I
think
want, what we want are loyal customers that are looking for, if I pay this, I want that.
relationship and value, and
Yep,
that's what we do, right?
that's what we
And
bring.
relationships and value. We're here for you. We're here to help you grow. We're here to help you grow your business.
Right,
We're here to help you learn more. You know, and I am a product of. I used to buy building packages from Burroughs.
right.
It it is so much value to have that. I've said this before, right? One phone call, one purchase order, one delivery, one invoice. Boom, done.
Yep,
Now I can go on and go sell and do what I want to do and make sure my buildings are being built with high quality because I'm not focusing on chasing prices around
mhm,
town. Who's got the best deal? Oh, well, I'm going to buy from that metal supplier. And then, oh, but they don't unload on the job site. So dang, I got to make sure my skid steer's there to unload the
yep,
truck.
yep,
And I
yep.
mean, come on, guys, stop being silly. If that's you, wake up, listen to me right now, and pay the price for a full package delivery and watch your business grow in
Yeah,
2026.
yeah,
Last thing I got to say about Nail-Lam, because I know we are running thin on time.
bring it.
It's important is before our old machine didn't do any planing. Now we can plane the column. And
Yes.
so one side of the 3 plies, the 4.5 inch side, if it's a 3 ply, we are planing that flush, which is
Mhm.
beautiful for that outward face where your wall girts connect to. Everything is seamlessly straight
Yep,
and
yep.
primo.
Primo. It's a better product. So, guys, listen to this. You want to know more. Maybe we didn't cover as much detail as you'd like to hear. Let us know, right? Another thing is we will very quickly have warranties coming with the nail lambs. So it's something that you should do, right? Like offer it. And here's the thing: if you think it's the best thing to offer your customer, offer it. And if they're like, yeah, let them make the decision. You can always sell a 6x6 if you want to. Y it's one of those things where you can always start high and come down. You can't start low and go up, right? So, that's the way I did it. "Hey, here is the cat's meow. Here's what I can do." You're a little bit outside my budget. Alright. What are you willing to sacrifice? Because we can start sacrificing. What do you wanna sacrifice, right? Be a consultant. Be a right well, can I in this world of political correctness, I don't know if I can talk about guns as analogies because I was gonna talk about being a rifle or be a shotgun. Go
I'm
after
pretty
what you want.
sure. I want you to do that one because I think our listeners appreciate the rifle and shotgun analogy. So let's
Yeah,
hear that
so
one.
with a rifle, you know exactly what you're after. It's like it's precise.
Mhm.
I am this. That is where I'm going. That's my target. Shotgun is I'm gonna send out a bunch of estimates and see what comes back. I'm gonna hit what I can because I'm not
Mhm.
accurate, right? Or I know exactly where I'm at. I know my lane, I know my skill. I'm gonna sell myself and I'm going to even more than that, follow through on what I am selling. I'm gonna give my customers a great experience and a great end product. So,
Mhm.
gosh, we're almost at 30 minutes. Well, hey, Josh, from me to you as your co-host, as your partner in crime, well done opening the program. You did excellent. And this was
Not
great.
trying to steal your job. I just want to say that right now. I'm not. I wanted to come strong, but I'm not trying to take your job. You can keep it.
Hey, brother. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will close this out. Josh, thank you. Thank you for what you bring to Burrows and to our customers, and we hope you continue to find the podcast valuable. I'm going to do a quick teaser. I've got something really exciting, guys. We've got someone that we have recently met. I've been having conversations. Not a customer of Burrows, very, very successful business owner in the construction space, and so he's going to be joining us very soon to bring some wisdom and knowledge. And you're not going to want to miss this. You're not going to want to miss this. This is some new stuff, but it's also awesome to hear him reiterate some of the things that we've been saying here. And I want you to hear it from someone's voice who is not a Burrows customer.
Can't
We'll
wait.
see you next time. Bye, guys.